And President Trump is active on Truth Social to push for the passing of that big, beautiful bill, writing that the bill is, quote, moving along nicely. The deadline, as we've been talking about, is now just 4 days away. Scripps News White House reporter Jacob Gardenschwartz is live for us. And Jacob, what's the latest from where you are?
Yeah, good afternoon, Andrew. Well, the day here as it winds towards the end of the business day, things are ending not too unlike how they began. The Senate still voting on amendments, the White House still insisting that a finished bill be on the president's desk by July 4th, and a lack of clarity as to whether that is going to happen. As we've been reporting throughout the day, the president has been working the phones and his bully pulpit using his Truth Social platform to try to push for the final passage of this bill. White House officials initially suggesting that some top Republicans from the Hill would be here at the White House this afternoon, including House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Thune. Ultimately, we learned, however, that the president and those leaders connected on the phone. Certainly possible that they and other lawmakers could be here later in the week as this continues to make its way through the Senate. And speaking of the Senate, we continue to hear significant criticisms of this bill, not just from Democrats, as you might expect, but from even some Republicans, notably Thom Tillis of North Carolina among them. He has spoken out about how this bill will impact Medicaid in his state, expected to cut upwards of tens of billions of dollars and force around 600,000 people off of that government insurance program. He ultimately voted not to advance this bill in a procedural motion. That prompted a number of truth posts against him from the president, threatening to primary him in his upcoming election. And as a result, he decided he will not run for re-election. That is something that Democrats are celebrating, suggesting it could be a major pickup opportunity for them on a complicated Senate map, but also opening Tillis up to continue his public criticisms of this bill, prompting the White House to respond. Listen to some of that back and forth.
Best case scenario is about a $26 billion cut. Now, we've got a delay, so it may be 2 years, it may be 1 year. All it does is make that $26 billion happen in year 1 or year 12, but the impact is the same, Mr. President, and it's indisputable.
Well, he is just wrong, and the president and the vast majority of Republicans who are supportive of this legislation are right. This bill protects Medicaid.
It's safe to say that Senate leaders are counting Tillis as a solid no on this vote. Republicans can stand to lose just 2 more senators in the Senate. That would force Vice President Vance to cast the tie-breaking vote in favor of this. If any more vote against this bill, then it will not pass. Again, right now, senators still working their way through amendments. Unclear how much longer that will take before it moves to final Senate passage. Andrew.
And Jacob, taking a couple steps back here, where you are at the White House, I'm interested to get your take on just how important this would be for President Trump politically. I mean, he's somebody who has done quite a bit in his first 100 or so days and the months and weeks since then, but it's a lot of stuff that's gotten blocked in court. This would be by far his biggest legislative victory. How important is it to this president and to this White House to get this done?
Yeah, certainly the message is that this is crucial. And I think to your point, while this president has really, more than any of his recent predecessors, used executive action to pursue parts of his agenda, those have been tied up in courts significantly due to the fact that presidents are constrained in how much they can do without Congress. This package is really what contains the vast majority of the president's agenda, what he ran on in this most recent campaign. And the White House, working with congressional leaders, really chose deliberately to try to put everything into, as it is titled, the one big beautiful bill, as opposed to pursuing simultaneous sort of separate policies that would each require separate votes. That is a very risky political move. And as we've been reporting, it remains to be seen how effective it will be. But the White House is really not backing down from their decision to do this, from their claim that this will all happen by July 4th. And as you noted, really claiming that this is necessary for Republicans to coalesce together. I think that was evident in the briefing today when we were asking White House officials sort of about some of these specific amendments, where the president stood on this vote or on that vote. Their, at least public line, is that they're not going to get involved in the nitty-gritty of the votes. They just want the bill to pass. And that really shows how significant this vote is to them. Of course, just because it has to make its way through the Senate, and that is the next key hurdle, does not mean that if the Senate approves this in the next few days, Republicans in the White House are out of the woods because of how many changes senators have made to this. It has to go back to the House to vote on it again to approve those changes, and there are growing signs that that could be a significant hurdle for them. And just the past couple of hours, we saw a statement from the House Freedom Caucus. That's a group of some of the most fiscally conservative lawmakers in the House who are really decrying some of the changes the Senate made and the way that impacts the costs. They wrote that this bill is, quote, does not show fiscal responsibility and is not what we agreed to, and claim the Senate must make major changes. Of course, unclear whether, that's just language, how they will ultimately vote on the bill itself. The last sort of complicating factor that we've been tracking in the past couple of hours is Elon Musk, a former, top aide to the president, who the president and Musk claims are still in contact after that pretty public blow-up a couple weeks ago. Musk now really amping up his criticisms of the bill, suggesting that Republicans who vote for it are part of the Porky Pig Party, calling out Freedom Caucus lawmakers specifically. How can you call yourself the Freedom Caucus if you vote for a debt slavery bill? And perhaps most surprisingly, suggesting that he will invest money to help primary challengers to any Republicans who vote for this bill. Again, unclear if he ultimately follows through on that threat, but it's not just the president who Republicans have to be worried about if they oppose the bill. It's now Elon Musk who they have to be worried about if they support it. Andrew?
All right, Scripps News White House producer, reporter Jacob Garden-Schwartz. That's some important perspective, Jacob. Thank you.